dangerous. The problem is this, Martha, if I could just flash back to the courtroom for a second. I think this is an open and shut case. I followed the prosecution. I followed the defense arguments. This is not premeditated murder, but it is depraved indifference. It is at least reckless, gross negligence. And people say, look, do you believe the defense attorney or do you believe your lying eyes? You see it right there. The videotape, 9 minutes and 29 seconds. It is clear. Maybe Chauvin was reasonable, his conduct at the beginning, but at some point he becomes grotesquely stupid, leaving his knee on that poor man's neck, the experts testifying that a healthy man subjected to what George Floyd was subjected to would also have died. If the crowd is feeling this rage inside, they're worried. They're worried that this will be like Rodney King. They're worried that the jury will ignore the evidence and believe the gaslighting defense attorney. He'll look at this, look at this, and look at this. Don't look at this video. Martha, I think this is a very dangerous situation. I trust the jury's judgment.
Well, that's what I would say. This is the process, and we have a very diverse jury in this case. And of course, people are diverse in the way they approach the information that's given to them as well. It's not just about, the color of anyone's skin, I don't believe, as they approach this. I think that they are going to look at everything that has been laid out very well, I think, by both sides in this case. Tomi Lahren, back to the issue of incitement. It's something that we've talked about a lot in this country, since January the 6th. There's a lot of argument over what is freedom of speech and what is inciting. What do you see?
Well, all the left has been wanting to talk about for the last several months has been January 6th, a single day. And let's recall that Donald Trump was deplatformed from all of social media for encouraging his supporters to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard. Now, contrast that with Congressman Maxine Waters, who is a vile excuse of a human being and a disgrace to herself and Congress, is sitting out there actually inciting violence, possibly tampering with the jury because she's saying if we don't get the outcome we want, we should get more confrontational. And this is not the first time that she's done this. So absolutely, she needs to be held to account. I wish Nancy Pelosi would be the one to do it. But going back to what Geraldo said, I believe we should trust the jury in this case. But we also have to go back to an issue that's the core of what's happening in our country right now, and that is the issue of compliance and non-compliance. Now, the left wants to make everything with regards to officer-involved shootings about race. It's not about race. It's about compliance. At the end of the day, these are tragic situations, and no one wants to see them happening, including those that are members of law enforcement. But we have to go back to the root of this issue. If these suspects, if these victims had complied with the police officers, they would be alive to go home to their families at night, and so would those officers. And if people like Maxine Waters really cared about black lives, or any lives for that matter, she would be out there encouraging calm, and she would also be encouraging people not to resist arrest so that they could go home safely to their families at night. At the end of the day, though, what she's doing is inciting violence. It's disgusting, and she needs to be held to account.
Well, I think back to what she said about, getting up in people's faces. I think we have that soundbite, too. There's a pattern to this behavior. This wasn't sort of a one-off. There is a pattern. And if Congress wants to evaluate that pattern and they want to meet and discuss whether or not it's appropriate, it's certainly their right to do so. Here she is in 2018.
Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
So, Geraldo, in her own defense, Maxine Waters said, I don't believe in violence. That's not what I was saying. She said, I want to be, anti-Maxine, as she calls herself. I want to inspire these young people to activism. That's what she says she is out there doing when she says these things.
If I can start answering Tommy's point about compliance.
Sure.
I agree. People should listen to cops when cops give them an order. But at what point does that compliance take a backseat to a man putting his knee on a handcuffed man's prostrate body for 9.5 minutes? That is so outrageous that it would spill the passion of anyone. I urge calm also. I believe Joe Biden, who I believe is a decent man and a pretty good president so far, should address Maxine Waters and the nation writ large and say, listen, we believe in the justice system. We believe that we need police to keep civilization from anarchy. But what she said is unhelpful. Please cool down, let the system do what it has to do, and then we understand that there are issues in our society that need addressing. But for goodness sake,
I think it's a good
if you
point.
burn down another precinct, where do we go?
It would be great to hear from the president on this. You know, in terms, he's very calm and very careful always, and I think there are times to speak out and to use, you know, sort of that fatherly pulpit that he has and that, you know, a lot of people appreciate in him, to say exactly that, to calm the nation, to say, please don't listen to Maxine Waters on this. You need to listen to those who want to keep their community safe, and 99% of the people who live in these places, that's exactly what they want. They don't want anybody coming in from outside and hurting people in their home, on their block, in their street, and it needs to be said very strongly from the top. Thank you very much to both of you. Good to have you here today.